Shem Kol Yisrael. The mother of Eli David recounts. About 17 years ago, Tafshin Sameches, in Elul, a son was born to me. His name was Eli David. 4 hours after Eli was born, the doctors came back and said that there is an aggressive bacteria, and because of it, many of the systems in the young baby's body had been shut down, and his life was in danger. So immediately, the infant, was rushed to the emergency room, and doctors were trying to save his life. A doctor came out with heavy eyes and said, "Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. He might live, he might not. The next couple of weeks will decide. In the meantime, he's on a breathing machine." For the next 2 weeks, the mother recounts, the boy was on a breathing machine, and the situation did not get any better. The situation was very, very hard. One day, she went down to the cafeteria, and she sees the Rabbanit of Rav Mordechai in the cafeteria. And she ran over, and she said, "Please help me. I need a miracle. You need to help me save my baby." And at first, the Rabbanit said, "Well, I don't know what to tell you." But then she said, "You know what? Come with me." Because Rav Mordechai happened to be staying at that hospital. He himself was very sick. And she went to the Rav while the mother waited outside. And she explained for 10 very long minutes, seemed like eternity to the mother, the situation, until she came back. And she said that the Rav had blessed the child, and he asked her to change him, to give him a name, even though there was not yet a Brit Milah, to give him a name, and to recite a particular prayer in the presence of the baby, and to give 27 shekels to a charity, whatever charity she wanted, as a pidyon, as a redemption, pidyon and nefesh for the boy, for the baby. So the mother said, "Okay," but she was curious, what's the meaning of 27? So she called up her uncle, who was a rabbi. "What's the meaning of 27? And the rabbi said, "Actually, I don't know. 26, but 27, I don't know. But listen to the Rav. Kedai lismoch al Rav Mordechai Eliyahu. It's worthwhile to rely upon him." So she immediately went to her synagogue, and she was going to give 27 shekel to the synagogue's charity box. And she took out her wallet, but to her astonishment, she had no money. She'd forgotten all her money. She started looking through her pockets. She found a 5 shekel, a 10 shekel, a little shekel here, a little shekel there. By the end of it, she found exactly 27 shekel. Unbelievable. The Ruach HaKodesh, the divine inspiration of the Rav, to somehow know that. She put the 27 shekel in the tzedakah box. She went back to the hospital, and she felt good. She felt like everything was going to get better. And indeed, soon afterwards, the nurse came over and said, "The breathing is getting better. We're letting him breathe on his own." And 2 weeks later, the baby was home, out of the hospital, completely healthy. In the schus of the tefillah, in the schus of the bracha of Rabeinu, of Mordechai Eliyahu. On that note, I want to tell another follow-up story. This one told by Rav Menachem Burstein, the Rosh of Machon Pua, very, very active to this day. He came to our army base, and he's a person responsible for helping many women get pregnant and have many Jewish children. Actually, Arab children too, because they work with all sorts of any Israeli citizen, they help them have children. In any case, so Burstein was very, very close with Mordechai Eliyahu, and they had hundreds of meetings. And one time, Rav Eliyahu, Burstein, was asked by a young couple, who was having a very hard time having children. And he asked for a bracha and a havtacha, a promise from the Rav. A promise. Rav, promise me that we'll have children. So the Rav looked at him and said, are you crazy? I can promise? Am I a prophet? I can't promise. So Rav Borstein, with a little bit of chutzpah, holy chutzpah, said, Rav, I know of a situation where the Rav promised, and Baruch Hashem, it happened. The Rav put down his eyes, waited a minute, and said, listen, I can't promise. But one time a woman came, she had tried everything and davened so much to God. She was crying, and she begged me that I'd promise that this operation would succeed. I had a very hard time. And so I promised her that she'd have a child. And immediately after I promised her, I went up to Hashem and said, Hashem, save me. I promised the woman, help me, that the matter should be fulfilled. And indeed, a miracle happened, and the woman gave birth soon afterwards. So you see, it's not that the Rav could guarantee anything. He just prayed. Sometimes Hashem said yes, sometimes Hashem said no. But the schus, but a holy tzaddik's prayer, is very, very, very powerful. And end off with two last powerful stories about Mordechai's power to heal. So, once, Rav Jonathan Pollard himself was very close to the Mordechai, and Jonathan Pollard was very sick at one point. His wife, who was also very close to the Rav, came over and told the Rav how sick Jonathan was. Right, the famous, one could say spy, the one who did so much mysterious nefesh for the Jewish people. And the Rav understood, and soon afterwards he prayed, and soon afterwards the Rav himself was getting sicker, while Jonathan Pollard was getting better. And the Rabbanit of Jonathan Pollard, his wife, came over and said, Jonathan does not allow you to take any of the sickness upon yourself. And the Rav just looked her in the eye like a father, thinking to himself, it's too late, and said, don't worry about it, everything will be okay. For the next 4 years, Rav Mordechai was sick. It took him about 4 years until he got better. But Jonathan Pollard himself got better. Unbelievable story. Obviously, Jonathan Pollard didn't want at all to hurt the health of the Rav, but this was a mysterious nefesh of Mordechai Eliyahu. He could take the pain of another Jew literally onto himself. Maybe in that schus of being such an incredible tzaddik, his prayers were heard. Ashreinu, shezachinu, in our generation, to see such a tzaddik. Bezrat Hashem, we should be zocheh to see miracles in our generation. Ashreinu, matov chelkeinu, mano im goralei. Oy, 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 andedinanai, 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 ay, ay, andedinai, ay, ay.